Okay there, ladies and gentlemen. RVB Shard here for my final E3 related video of this year. Now, I know my sort of turnover of these videos hasn't been utterly, stupendous and overly quick this time around. Usually it's a big, quick roundup, but this year's E3 has been somewhat different. Now, I did the main two conferences, namely because, again, Nintendo didn't show up. Utter BS. But hey, moving on. Usually they give me something good to laugh at, like a new fucking peripheral that takes your pulse through your penis. I don't know. This year, I've had to go for EA and Ubisoft's conferences. Not something I would normally stick in here, but it's not going to be a pros and cons type like my other ones. They didn't really do enough for me to pro and con them, so I'm just going to basically give you a rundown of what they showed, and then my final thoughts on this year's actual E3. So let's start with EA, otherwise known as the Doom Factory. Let me just put that into perspective. Doom Factory! Yeah, because EA, they're utter garbage. They are really a horrible company. They have very little in the way of customer service or, apologizing for their fuck-ups. Looking at you, SimCity. I still have you on my shelf, and I'm still disappointed. I'm saddened by that. Anyway, let's move on. Let's see. They started off with Plants vs. Zombies 2, which really was a retarded way to start off a fucking show. Because really, who gives a fuck about Plants vs. Zombies? It's an effing mobile game. That's something you play on your iPhone or your tablet or fucking something else. It's one of those games that you basically punch the dick in front of you on the bus because he's playing. That or Angry Birds, right? So to have a sort of console iteration of that game, I'm just fucking bamboozled by the fucking, the sheer dumbness of that suggestion. I mean, who came up with that fucking idea? Then they showed some more stuff on Titanfall, which, again, I said it on the Microsoft one, I was kind of intrigued by. Still am kind of intrigued by. But, to be honest, they didn't show gameplay as much, just more pre-rendered trailers, so until I actually see the game being played on stage, I won't really give a fuck. Because I want to see how the parkour elements actually interact with the characters as they're running about hectically in the middle of a battle being murdered by a mech. That will be intriguing to see. They continued with another Need for Speed game. Not the racing franchise I wanted to see, EA. I said this before. Burnout, please. A game that doesn't require me to drive in a fucking circle like a little twat. A game that requires me to, race around and actually take out my opponents for money/points. That I like. Aggressive, competitive driving. Shit you can't actually do on the street. But obeying the fucking rules and driving in a circle, again, you can do. Lame. So, what else we got? They then announced Inquisition, which was formerly known as Dragon's Age 3. And, yeah, not really fussed. I'm sure a lot of people are really psyched that BioWare and EA are continuing their, hand and claw freaking partnership and continuing to produce games set in that universe, but I don't give a fuck. Dragon's Age was interesting. Dragon's Age 2 was fucking abysmal. I mean, literally stripping every race out of that game and leaving you with humans. Oh joy, because we're not already the fucking warmongers of the planet. Let's do it more! So no. Inquisition, not interested. The only thing that even piqued my interest in that fucking trailer was the fact that Claudia Black was actually doing the narration. And if you're a sci-fi geek, you know who Claudia Black is, because she played some pretty fucking awesome characters. So, not gonna be picking up that game. Then, of course, we had a fucking 25-minute effing section on sports. Now, my avatar doesn't really actually do my build any justice. This is as fat as I can make my dude. I'm a tubby bitch. I'm okay with that. And I got that tubbiness by sitting on my ass playing video games on the weekend when other people were outside, in nature and stuff. Not to say I don't exercise, I do airsoft, which is about it. But, as a gamer, I don't give a flying fuck about sports. I couldn't care about what fucking bald, sweaty asshole is currently punching 7 shades of shit out the other sweaty, bald asshole in UFC. I couldn't care. Don't give a shit about NFL. Don't give a shit about FIFA. I don't give a shit about any general fucking sport. Don't give a shit. Would quite happily fall asleep at that point, and in fact, a couple of us during the call did. So, they finally woke us up at the end of the EA's press conference with Battlefield 4. Now, from what I saw, interesting. However, I have a niggling, long-standing argument with Battlefield 3, whereby I fucking hate it. Because I am one of those people who enjoys the idea of a realistic first-person shooter. Because COD pretty much covers the arcade aspect of shooter games. So, if I want to jump in quickly, have some gunfires, blah 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 blah, you know, call in ridiculous perks that should never ever be deployed in a civilian environment ever, no matter what the military situation, then I'll play Black Ops. However, if I want to play something realistic, I've usually always been able to fall on the Battlefield franchise. However, Battlefield 3, not so much. My personal experiences with that game was the fact that I could get fucking sniped from across the map by a 9mm pistol. That, not realistic. No, not even slightly realistic. If you're in a war environment, you can't fucking snipe somebody with a 9mm. Doesn't work. Also, you know, people being dicks with flashlights. That game turned into like a sort of troll faganza. Or, what would be a bigger name for fucking an orgy of trolls? I don't know. But it was unpleasant, and I didn't like it, and I didn't want to play it, so I stopped. However, Battlefield 4 shows that there may be some hope yet, with adding a fuck ton of vehicles into the maps look bigger, and of course, the destructible scenery aspect has exploded. Quite literally, they showed a skyscraper falling. Neat. If you can do that in a multiplayer match, again, neat. However, I am one of those people who still enjoys Battlefield Bad Company 2 more than Battlefield 3. So, if you know, are one of those whiny bitches like, oh, you like small maps and squad-based combat, you're a douche. Well, fuck you, because I quite enjoy it, and I like the fact that I could knife a building to death, and it would crush someone. So, yeah. Also, the Battlefield 4 engine doesn't look entirely different than Battlefield 3, so, because it's having to go on the current-gen console, I'm not sure it will get any better. But anyway, let's move on to Ubisoft. And as you can tell in these videos, I'm not doing nearly as much editing as I did before, because there's no point, because I don't have to do any of the math segments over on this side and stuff, so deal with it. But anyway, Ubisoft, what did we kick off with? We kicked off with Rock Retard! No, that's not the name of the game, but to be honest, at this point, making any of these stupid fucking rhythm games or music games, it should just be named Rock Retard, really. It would work. Because, I mean, look at it. It's basically Rock Band, or I don't even remember the name of the other one, but fucking garbage, and I hate them, and they need to die. Whoever bought one of those plastic guitars, I guarantee you it's in the corner of your room right now and you're staring at it and feeling very stupid you bought it. We moved on and we got another look at Splinter Cell Blacklist, which has been sort of circling the drain for a while. Not fucking sure what the hell has taken that game so long to get out. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's like 3 years now that showed up at E3. That's pretty depressing when you think about it. It really is. What else we got? Oh, yeah. A new Rayman game, which looks surprisingly similar to the Rayman game they showed last year, except with more characters, and the use of questionable jiggle physics. For anybody who actually watched that trailer, and as a man, you will know exactly what I'm fucking talking about. Even most women would have said that was fucking questionable. Especially for a children's game. Moving on, we saw the Mighty Quest for Epic Loot. Now, it looked kind of interesting, and at the end of the show, they kind of mentioned that you could get onto the beta and play the game now. And of course, most of us, while watching the E3 trailer, tried to log on to set up an account in order to play it, because it looked kind of cool. Kind of Team Fortress-y and Dungeon Quest-y without all the Valve BS. And of course the servers were down because so many people were hitting it, and then you got hit with a sort of sucker punch from Ubisoft, which was you had to pay to get into the beta now, or you could apply. That is not what they said on the fucking show floor. That is not what they said during the conference. It was like, oh, you can join the beta. It's open. Really? Yeah, it's open if you fucking pay for it. And I have to pry my wallet open, Ubi. Fucker. God dang it. So it was a BS approach to that particular little gem that was in the show. They did some driving thingy. I think it was like Drive Club or Drive something or other. Fuck knows what it was, but it was boring as all hell, and I really didn't get into it at all. There's too many racing games this year that for me to give a fuck about many of them. We of course saw more on Watch Dogs, more gameplay, which was nice. But to be honest, Watch Dogs is one of those games where I don't think any trailer will really do the game justice. You'll need to actually play it to enjoy it. So it's kind of like Assassin's Creed in the same way. Because they showed more on Black Flag, more gameplay, but again, it's a game you have to actually experience in order to enjoy. So I wasn't really all that up on it and couldn't care. They finished with a game that actually looked really awesome, I will admit this. The Tom Clancy's The Division. Basically kind of crossed the idea of Rainbow Six Vegas or Rainbow Six with a like squad-based tactical shooter with a sort of open world element and post-apocalyptic kind of scenario. So it looked really awesome, and it's one of those ones I'll definitely be keeping my eyes open for because it was probably like the best part of that show. But anyway, let's move on to my final thoughts for this year's E3. This year's E3, the reason I've taken so long to do this video is for the fact that I have to actually sit back and look at everything that's come out of E3 in the past 3 weeks. Now, so far, what I have seen is fuck-ups on every single side. Now, most people said that E3 was going to be a 2-horse race. I said it myself. And then at the end of E3, or the end of day 1, said it was a 1-horse race because Sony had won it. Now, I will admit, I was very impressed with Sony's initial announcement. But since then, they have pretty much said nothing new, and of course have fucked up quite substantially, considering like a couple of days after E3 they released an update which essentially bricked PS3s. That's never something you want to see from a major company that vowed to support their current console after the release of their next gen. Basically, oh yeah, by the way, if you've actually added a new hard drive to your console or you've upgraded it even slightly, guess what? Fucking doesn't work. So that is a massive cock-up from Sony, and not one I think fans will be easily forgiving. On the other side of it, Microsoft seems to have been, like, practicing its unicycling act with the amount of fucking backpedaling the motherfucker has been doing since E3. Which has given fans a lot of, reason to sort of see a glimmer of hope in the console's future. However, the issue of current politics with the NSA and their spying bullshit and the fact that you still have a Kinect that's essentially always on, probably still not so great for some people. I personally don't like the idea of somebody watching me while I'm sitting playing games in my pants, screaming at the TV. That's not really something I want anybody to see. So, that's why it's private. That's why I do it in my own room, in my own home. But I mean, the fact that they've removed the DMR restrictions, they've taken back they've not taken back, they've allowed for trading of games and stuff like that, shows the fact that Microsoft is at least listening, if nothing else, which not every company can ever have really put that feather in their cap and said, yeah, we listen to our fans. Because I'm looking at you, EA. Still waiting on a fucking burnout, you cocksuckers. And also, you're bastards. So, and of course, Valve. Yeah. Still waiting on Half-Life 3 there, jerk off. So, yeah. Anywho, so it seems like this year's E3 was pretty much a big fucking letdown. It seems like the end of every E3 seems to be like a couple of feelings of, yay, hope for the future, and then a couple of feelings of, oh dear fucking god, what am I going to do? Now, if you own a PC that's reasonably powerful, this isn't really a thing for you, because most games will come out on PC eventually anyway, or you'll find some way to set up an emulator and, just ROM the fuck out of them. However, for the console exclusive market and certain games that are looking really peachy, the decision to go next gen is going to be one that has got to be taken pretty seriously, considering the amount of money you're going to have to drop on these consoles. So, what I'd recommend to all of you who are considering getting an next-gen console, don't get it at launch. Both companies are going to continue to support your current gen consoles, and most of the launch titles for these new consoles will also be cross-compatible, i.e. there will be a 360 and a PS3 version. So don't break your ass going out there and buying the thing at launch. I would really recommend that all of you guys wait until at least mid next year, till the next E3 comes out, when they start mentioning summer sales. This is where you want to go for this, or unless you see a really decent fucking bundle with a game that you really like, or, you know, some decent peripherals and shit, and that you're willing to drop the money on. Because the last thing I want other gamers to do, along with myself and my friends, is to go out, buy a fucking console, and then it basically be a hunk of shit that you can't play with your friends. What you really want to do is wait until the price goes down enough where more people can afford it, and, you know, you can continue playing and having the experiences that we're all happy with currently with our current gen consoles, i.e. Xbox Live or PSN. So, my final thoughts are pretty much that. E3 was kind of meh. Not so awesome. But I mean, there was some nice games, and there was more focus on gameplay, which was peachy. But, I'm not so thrilled over the next-gen console race as I was hoping I would be, considering both companies are playing some underhanded BS with their marketing. Sony was focusing on just basically being a dick to Microsoft, and Microsoft was basically just focusing on being a dick to the entire population of their fan base. So, there's some kind of own goals on that E3. But anyway, stay tuned. I will be bringing out more videos. Should be in the next couple of weeks or so. I've got the next DLC pack for Black Ops 2 will be coming out, so we'll have some zombies gameplay for you guys. And of course, just some regular stuff. Maybe on the multiplayer maps, if I can be arsed. But please note, I will be kind of spotty for the next 6 weeks or so. I have to go on a training course, which is 6 days a week. So, I'm not going to have as much time to edit as I would have liked. But anyway, this has been Arthur B. Shard for my post-E3 wrap-up. So, yep, check you guys out later, and peace!